Welcome to the Men After God podcast, a journey into God's Word designed to inspire and equip men to live out their faith with courage and authenticity. In today's Bible study episode, we'll delve deep into Scripture, exploring timeless truths and practical applications for daily life. Prepare your heart and mind as we uncover what it means to be a man after God's own heart.
Welcome to the Men After God podcast. My name is Luke Sorensen. We are continuing through the book of Proverbs. We're in Proverbs Chapter 4. We'll be in verse 20 today as we wrap up Chapter 4. And we just want to say thanks so much for following along with the podcast and the different versions. Obviously, we have the men's devotional, and then we've got just our other podcasts talking about men's ministry and reaching men after God, and want to say thank you for that. As we go into Proverbs Chapter 4 today, that there's a verse we're going to focus on in verse 23, but let's read through this. The Bible says in chapter 4, verse 20, it says, "My son, attend to my words and incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, and keep them in the midst of thine heart. For they are life to those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil." A lot of directives here, a lot of great stuff. We're going to focus on chapter 4, verse 23, where it says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." I remember as a teenager hearing this verse, and it was a constant one that got brought to us, like, hey, keep your heart, protect your heart. And a lot of it had to do with, in regards to like personal relationships and a boyfriend, girlfriend type, hey, watch your heart, protect your heart, keep it pure. You're going to marry one person, don't give your heart to another person, right? And I think there's a lot of value there, but that is not the conversation we're going to have today. We're going to be talking about you as a man after God, as a man after God, as individuals who are seeking after God. What does it mean to keep thy heart with all diligence? Now, we understand based on this, like the reason we're doing it is because all of the issues of life run through the heart. Like if we don't protect the heart, it's going to mess up all of our issues of life. So watch this. If your heart is not right, your relationships aren't right. If your heart is not right, your integrity is off. If your heart is not right, well, there's a lot of consequences to not having a heart that's protected or that's safe or that's in a good spot. And I really want to talk about this. You talk about the Bible. Like, I'm not talking about your physical heartbeat, your physical heart in your chest where you've got your heart beating. I'm talking about your soul, your emotions, your mind, and how they connect. Like you have the logical side of the brain, but then you have your heart side. And this is where your feelings and your emotions belong. Protect your emotions. Protect the things that matter to you, right? So just want to walk through this. The verse emphasizes the importance of guarding our inner being, our thoughts, emotions, and desires, because it determines the direction of our lives. And here's the concept. This is how we're going to keep our heart with all diligence. Looking at this, like, Solomon saying, hey, my son, listen to me. Pay attention, and he talks about like, hey, if you let that, keep your eyes and keep your in the midst of the heart. So verse 21, it says, "Let thy," we'll go back to verse 20. "My son, attend to my words." Now, what he's like, hey, I'm saying something valuable, and then he says, "And incline thine ear unto my saying." So there's the ear. It's like listen, right? "And let them not depart from thine eyes." And then it says, "And keep them in the midst of thine heart." He's like, hey, use your ears, use your eyes, but hold them in your heart. Listen, watch, but hold them in your heart. And then he says this, "For they are life unto those that find them." What he's talking about? The words he's giving in just a minute. He's like, hey, if you get what I'm saying in just a moment, and you listen to what I'm saying, and you see what I'm saying, and you hold what I'm saying, hey, the words I'm about to say, these are health to all your flesh. And then he says this, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." He says, hey, if you listen to that and you watch it and you hold it, it's going to be healthy for you. And then he says, keep your heart. And then he says, put away from the froward mouth. He says, watch what you say, right? And put perverse lips far from thee. And then he says, let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. He's like, stay focused. Don't get distracted. Watch what you say. Don't say what you shouldn't say, but watch where you're going and keep your eye on the prize. And then he says, ponder the path of thy feet, and let thy ways be established. Not look at the path, but ponder the path, right? Consider the path. Look at what you're going and look at the why. Be attentive to where you're going. It says, turn not to the right hand nor to the left, remove thy foot from evil. But he goes back, he's like, hey, all of these words I just said, if you can watch them and listen to them and hold them, these are going to save your life. These are going to protect your flesh. These are going to protect your being, right? So let's talk about what it means to keep thy heart with all diligence. Let's watch this. Number one, monitor your thoughts. You have control of your thought life. And if you allow just every thought and every whim and every influence into your thought life is going to be influenced, and it's going to hurt your heart. It's going to damage your heart because your thoughts are a part of your inner being, right? Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 says, teach us to think on these things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, and of good report. This allows us and gives us the directive that you can. So for those of you who are struggling with a thought life problem, and there's many versions of thought life. You've got a derogatory thought life where you're beating yourself up. You're having unhealthy self-conversations because you're not looking at yourself with value that Christ is looking at you. And by the way, Christ died for you. I promise you're worth living for. You're worth it, right? Not because of you, but because of him. Now, in the process of it, I'll make sure it's real clear. There's dark thoughts. You've got people that are dealing with suicidal thoughts, or maybe some thoughts that are just not of God. They are of the devil. Watch and monitor your thoughts, because that's part of keeping your heart with all diligence. That's the issues of life, right? Some of you are dealing with impure thoughts, and maybe you're dealing with pornography. Maybe you're dealing with some things that you need to deal with, and you need to create some accountability in place. And you say, man, some of you are afraid of accountability because you're afraid of the embarrassment of what accountability might bring. I promise you, accountability brings so much security to relationships and to your relationship with God, your relationship with your spouse, your relationship to others. So if you're saying, man, I'm embarrassed because I don't want to ask for accountability because I don't want to admit that I'm dealing with this, which is more embarrassing? The fact that you're not willing to admit you have a problem, or the fact that you're not willing to do something about it? Like, let's deal with this right now. By the way, there's a lot of opportunities out there with Covenant Eyes and different other ones to create accountability on your phone, on your networks. But here's the deal. It's a heart issue. You got to monitor your thoughts. We can provide all the accountability in the world, but if you have a heart issue, you're going to work around the accountability. In fact, you'll feel good having accountability while doing wrong, getting around it, because it's a heart issue. So just be mindful. You control your thoughts. Matthew 6:22 reminds us that the eye is a lamp of the body, and what you focus on fills your heart with light or darkness. You get to keep your own heart. God has you don't have, the devil made me do it. Doesn't work. The devil wants to have all the influence in the world, but you have the control. So take a moment to say, no, hold on a second. I can control my thoughts. Take this thought. For some of you, you're like, man, I struggle, right? I'm dealing with different struggles in my thoughts and my self-talk, all that stuff. There's a lot of conversations here that I'm dealing with ambiguously, but you know where you're at. And when you're dealing with these different thoughts, can you control those thoughts for 1 minute? Well, yeah, we can control our thoughts for 1 minute. I can refocus. I can rethink about something else. Think on these things, right? Okay. Can you control your thoughts for 2 minutes? Yeah, I can do 2 minutes. I can control my thoughts for 2 minutes. Can you do it for 3? Yeah, I can do it for 3 minutes. Okay, can you do it for 4? Yeah, I can do it. I want you to understand, it's 1 minute at a time, or 5 minutes at a time. But it's an intentionality of controlling your thoughts. So guard your inputs. Monitor your thoughts. Secondly, guard your inputs. What consumes you through your eyes and ears affects your heart. That's why Solomon says, hey, look at it and listen to it, and then keep it. Focus on what you're supposed to. Listen to what you're supposed to, and then put it in your heart. A lot of times we are so busy focusing on what we're not supposed to do. We're thinking what we're not supposed to think about, in the sense of like, oh, I don't want to think about a pink elephant. And yet all of us are now thinking about a pink elephant. And now I can't get a pink elephant out of my mind. I've never even seen a pink elephant, right? The concept is we're so focused on what we're not supposed to focus on that it's impossible to focus on what we should focus on. Think on these things is a directive saying, hey, think on what is true, just, pure, lovely, and of good report. Hey, don't not think about what you're not supposed to think about. Think on what you're supposed to think about, because that will help control your thoughts. So in the process of it, guard your inputs. Be mindful of what you watch, what you read, and what you listen to, ensuring it aligns with God's principles. By the way, algorithms are funny things. Your Instagram algorithm, your TikTok algorithm will tell me a whole lot about what you stopped and pondered. It just will. When I first got married recently, my algorithm was full of a bunch of leadership, personal growth, and development things. And now, since my wife sends me a lot of funny reels about relationships and different things that we're learning and growing, my algorithm on Facebook or Instagram, or whatever, is got a lot of mixed. So I have the leadership stuff that's still there because that's a lot of what I do is leadership, teamwork stuff. But I have a bunch of relationship things that I'm laughing about because I'm like, I wasn't seeking that, but because I watched it, now my reels, if you would, are full of all this stuff. Now it's not bad; it's just different than it was. Understand this: what you focus on is what you're going to get. So guard your inputs. Watch what you're watching. And by the way, I'm not saying don't watch anything. I'm saying be intentional about what you do put in, what you do listen to, your music, whether it's a podcast, whether it's your entertainment, the books you read or listen to. They matter because it's a part of your heart. So this is part of keeping your heart, is monitoring what you put in. So guard your inputs, right? Evaluate your influences. Surround yourself with people and environments that encourage spiritual growth, right? So Proverbs 13:20 warns, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed, which is good and bad. The good thing is that if I walk with wise men, I'm going to be wise. And that if I hang out with fools, I'm going to be destroyed. Now, the consequences of both are pretty severe, so make your choice. So choose relationships that nurture your heart and lead you closer to God. So in the process of this, look at what you're doing. Say, okay, does this relationship, does this conversation, does this interaction, is it drawing me closer to God? And you say, well, it's not drawing me closer to God, but it's not bad. Just want to make sure you understand neutral is the devil's playground. The devil loves to use neutral areas of your life to make you feel safe and like it's not bad. But if it's not of God, then it's going to be a detractor. And just kind of take that as it's passive things, passive moments, neutral areas is where the devil loves to lull you to sleep and draw you further away from God. So what is drawing you closer to God? Be very aware of it. Doesn't mean you could control every interaction you have, but be aware of what adds value to your relationship with God or detracts from your relationship with God. So evaluate your influences, choose relationships that nurture your heart and lead you closer to God. Number 4, cultivate a pure heart. This is a tremendous opportunity that we have the ability. The devil can't make you do this or not make you do this. This is literally something that you can do. Proverbs 51:10 says, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. You say, man, I don't have a pure heart right now. I've got some stuff I'm dealing with. Then start asking God to clean your heart. Start cleaning out some of the mess. And renew a right spirit within you, creates that new mindset. Romans Chapter 12, verse 1 and 2 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Watch this. Change your mind. Ask God to renew your mind, right? Stay humble and repentant. Always asking God to purify your motives. We're learning about how to keep my heart. I'm gonna monitor my thoughts. I'm going to guard what I'm putting in. I'm going to evaluate the influences I have in my life. I'm going to cultivate a clean heart, a pure heart. Number 5, practice diligent prayer and study. And I understand all of us have a schedule, so I know this is a lot to ask. And I believe that some of you are already doing that because you're listening right now to this podcast. You have a desire to have the scripture in your heart and to work in your heart. But I think there's a little bit more. Are you praying? Not just prayer at dinner, but are you praying? Are you praying without ceasing? Are you praying always? There's so much opportunity for us to pray throughout our day. And I would encourage you to do that. For some of you are pouring concrete today. Take a moment as you're running the concrete and the loud noise, you got the truck going and concrete's pouring and people are shouting and giving instructions, to have a heart of prayer as you're spreading the concrete and smoothing it out, as you're troweling, right? Some of you are running a nail gun today, some version of trim or flooring or building a house. Hey, as you're running a nail, every time you run that nail gun, by the way, I used to do construction, so I used to run a nail gun a little bit, and I would pray for individuals for every nail. Now, some of you are real fast with your nail gun. That means you're praying for a lot of people. The concept is to pray without ceasing. Are you filling your life? Are you keeping your heart by filling it with a spirit of gratitude and prayer? And then protect your emotions. Don't allow bitterness or anger or envy to take root in your heart. There's so many things that we get hurt by, things that are real pains. We're dealing with real things in our life, real relationships, real hurts, real people stabbing you in the back, people that you trusted have hurt you. Don't let bitterness and anger and envy, the desire for you to have justice, get your pound of flesh, don't let that ruin your heart, because that's not of God. God will take care of those details. He always will. Ephesians 4 talks about this in 31-32, says, urge us to put away bitterness and to be kind, tenderhearted, and forgiving. There's so much that God has forgiven us for. We have the privilege of looking at those that have even hurt us. And I don't know a lot of people that haven't been hurt. I've been hurt deeply in 2024, and I don't want to carry that with me through 2025. Now, I want to be forgiving, I want to be understanding. You need to set healthy boundaries, but I'm not going to allow bitterness to take root in my heart. Choose to release negative emotions through forgiveness and trust in the fact that God is just and the story's not over. So just let God, let go and let God. So as we're looking at this, stay focused on eternity. This is an eternal perspective. Keep your priorities in line with God's eternal purpose. Colossians Chapter 3 says, set your affection on things above and not on things of the earth. Like, look at this. I'm going to keep my heart. I'm going to monitor my thoughts. I'm going to monitor the influence. I'm going to watch what's pouring into me. I'm going to monitor my relationships. I want to make sure that I keep my heart with all diligence, but I want to make sure that I'm looking at this. I'm looking at it in a way where I'm looking at, hey, what am I allowing to take root and to sit in my heart? My inner feelings and emotions and thoughts. Because if I monitor my thoughts and I monitor my input and I make sure that what's getting poured into me is of God and for his glory, I will start to live a life that's of God and for his glory, because that's what's in my heart. So keep your heart with all diligence, because as Solomon says, these are the issues, this out of it are the issues of life. Your relationships, they spur from your heart. Your friendships, your personal development, your passions, they're all a heart issue. So if they're not of God, check your heart. Keep your heart. Protect your heart. And look at these things and say, hey, what do I need to do in my life to say this is of God, this is for God, this is good stuff that's pouring into my heart. This stuff is neutral. And maybe it's not bad, but I don't monitor it and be aware that neutral is not godly. And sometimes neutral will detour you from things that are godly. Am I praying? Am I praying fervently? Am I praying seriously? Am I praying consistently? Am I praying at all? What's your walk? What's your prayer life? What's your prayer journal? When's the last time God answered a prayer of yours? Better yet, when's the last time you prayed a prayer to God that he could answer? That wasn't something that consumed upon your lust. It was something where you were praying for someone to get saved, for someone to walk with Jesus, for whatever it is in your life that you say, man, God could answer these prayers. He can't answer prayers that you didn't pray. He'll still work and do good things. God's going to get the glory. But man, what an opportunity for us to say, hey, if I'm going to keep my heart, I'm going to keep it by monitoring my speech, monitoring my output and my input. Because if you keep your heart, you're going to be healthy. And I'm not promising you physical health. I'm talking about your mental health. I'm going to keep your heart, because Jesus is the most qualified person to protect and be a part of your life and to protect your heart. We will see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Men After God podcast. We hope today's discussion has encouraged and equipped you on your journey. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions, comments, or would like to partner with us, please reach out at support@menaftergod.net. Stay connected with our community by liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/menaftergodpodcast. For deeper engagement, join our group at facebook.com/groups/menaftergod and connect with other men pursuing God's heart. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback helps us reach more men striving to live faithfully. Until next time, stay strong in the faith and continue pursuing after God.